All right, Morning Express it is, and it's time for State of the Nation. And this morning, we'd like to take a look at, the state of our health sector. We do know that we are on day 4 of the doctor's strike, and as by yesterday morning, or rather yesterday evening, the talks collapsed yet again. So joining me now in the studio is Dr. Mercy Korir. Good morning, and thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Mike.
And what we'd like to do is basically just run through a bit of the state of where we are as per today. This is the history. It's not the first time doctors are going on strike. We do know that currently the bone of contention is the CBA 2013, signed in June 2013. So, of course, the question in many Kenyans' minds is, why are we still talking about something that was signed in 2013? Where did it stall? It is made to look sometimes like it is something that has happened overnight, but maybe it has not happened overnight. So Dr. Mercy Korir here is going to run us through the history of what's been happening and the main bones of contention as we speak. So, over to you.
Thank you, Mike. Good morning. Well, the health sector in Kenya is in two distinct sections, the public sector and the private sector. So what we are discussing is primarily the public sector.
Yes. So
now in Kenya, as of 2016, we have 7,000 active doctors. This is when we say doctors, we are talking of medical practitioners and dentists. We have about 7,000 as of 2016. Out of this number, from the counties, we are told we have that 4,500 doctors that are working in the counties.
In the counties.
Yes.
But before we move on from there, the 7,000 doctors these are the ones who are in the public sector?
No. The 7,000, when you say active, we mean the doctors who are actively retained to practice.
Okay.
So whether they're in clinical practice, private practice, public sector, it's all the doctors that are in the register as of 2016. Okay. Remember that the medical board keeps a track record of all the doctors that have ever been registered in Kenya, and we have as of now, about 10,000 doctors that have been registered. But now we take the active ones because those are the ones that annually renew their licenses.
Okay, and yes. 4,500 out of the 7,000 yes. are in counties?
In counties, all yes.
Right. Okay, let's move on to the next board.
So, before I discuss this now, there's the number of the nurses also, because let's remember that we have both the doctors and the nurses that are on strike. Mm-hmm. So we have about 25,000 nurses in the country. Out of the 25,000 in the counties, we have 15,000 of these numbers. Obviously, the nurses are more than the doctors. And obviously, in any economy, the nurses are often more than the doctors. So right. The nurses, we are talking about 15,000. Mm-hmm. And then we have the pharmacists who are also on strike. We have registered 2,800 pharmacists across the country, and out of this we have 700 in the public sector. And the remaining we have 900 in the public sector. The remaining 1,900 pharmacists, half of that will be in the private sector, and the other half will have gone to venture out into other sectors of pharmacy. Okay. Now, strikes are not new to Kenya, or rather, they are not new to the health sector in the world. Actually, the first recorded strike that came across was in Canada by the doctors. That was in 1962. So, of late, the most recent strikes are two distinct ones. One was the Israeli doctors who went on strike for 5 months in 2011. This was after negotiations to improve their pay packages and generally improve their work conditions.
Would it be similar to what we are going through right now in terms of
yes.
the conditions which they were working through in terms of their pay?
Yes, it is. Okay, but obviously we are comparing two different economies, and right. The Israelis and our economy is different. But the grievances were the same: poor pay, working conditions, and whatnot. The British doctors went on strike in 2016 this year, and these were the junior doctors. The junior doctors are your interns and the residents, the ones who are just starting the profession, and they're also complaining of working conditions because the government wanted them to work for the 7 days in a week on a certain arrangement, but they said they couldn't handle. And this is a situation where, on average, they have about 3 doctors for every 1,000 people in the population, compared to the WHO recommendation where you need 1 doctor for 1,000. So you can imagine if in such a situation they are going on strike, whereas for us guys we have 1 doctor for about 7,000 Kenyans. So you can that's completely different.
Yeah.
So it means the issues in the health sector are more or less the same, can be replicated, just that it's in different economies.
Okay.
Now, this is the public facilities that we have in the country. We had this is as of 2015 from just surveying in the counties. This is after now devolution and a lot of things that have been happening in the health sector. We have just over 1,900 dispensaries, over 500 health centers, and over 185 hospitals. So the dispensaries are remember the health sector is from level 1 to level 6. So this was, we are talking about, the hospitals are at level 4 and 5. This is where you'll find the doctors. Then the health centers are your level 3, where you'll find the clinical officers or maybe a doctor here and there, but mainly they'll have the clinical officers and the nurses. And now the dispensaries where you have the nurses, and this is level 2 facilities. And then your level 6 facilities now is the referral facilities, which the national government is in charge of. And you have Moi Teaching and Referral, Kenyatta National Hospital, Spinal Hospital, and Mathare. Those are the ones that the national government is in charge of. So let's remember that, I was just running through this, health is a devolved function according to Schedule 4. So the national government is in charge of the 4 referral facilities that I've just mentioned in policy and training. Now, the rest of the functions are in the counties. That's from offering ambulance services, all the other health facilities, that's from level 1 to level 5. And also your mortuary and all those other services.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Now, this one that it was discussed yesterday on our business segment. The Ministry of Health on the 2016-2017 budget was allocated 60 billion for. I remember their functions are in the referral facilities, the 4 referral facilities, training and policy, and we have 300 billion that is the county's budget. This 300 billion translates to about 15% of the national budget, and the 60 billion translates to about 2.5% of the national budget. Right. Now, remember, this 300 billion does not go to health only. The counties have other functions from the the county assemblies. They have their infrastructure, their roads, their water, and everything else, plus healthcare. Okay. And remember, healthcare is our biggest devolved function. So we find that the 300 billion cannot adequately cater.
Take care of that whole sector.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. Now
this is the genesis of doctor strikes in Kenya.
Yes, right. Yes. So now the first ever recorded, or rather first reported strike, or let me not call it a strike, but unrest between the doctors and the government was in 1981 during an AOU meeting. Okay. And we have Dr. Mamlole who will expound on this. He'll give us this historical perspective of the strike in 1981. But this was the first unrest where doctors were, agitating for better pay, improved working conditions and whatnot. In 1994, there was an agitation for a doctors' union to present the doctors' welfare. And during this time, you can remember, or rather, during this time, there was a lot happening in the country. So when this unrest happened, there was a massive doctors' exodus. Right. Doctors left to the southern Africa, to greener pastures, basically like Botswana. Okay. So after 1994, we had promulgation of the new constitution in 2010, and it gave all employers and all workers a right to be unionized and a right to picket. And so in 2010, August, the doctors registered the doctors' union. And in December of the same year, on 5th December, which was actually just like the strike of 5th December this year, they went for the first ever strike after the new constitution. And then from there, with the devolved function and what have been happening between transferring function from the national government to the county governments, there's been a lot of unrest. We'd had a strike in Kenyatta National Hospital. We had a strike at Gertrude's Children's Hospital, which is a private facility. We've had several strikes in the counties, which we've been reporting about in different counties because of poor working conditions, poor remuneration, and all the other issues that we'll discuss. And obviously, infrastructure in the health sector and facilities in the health sector. So that's of late. So now 2016 is now the current strike. And this strike, we have the doctors who are on strike, we have the nurses on strike, and we have the clinical officers who also declare their strike. So it's almost a paralysis of all clinical services in the public health sector.
All right, so that's basically where we are at in terms of the doctors' strike here in Kenya. Now,